Now let's talk about change in the web product. Before we do that, let's explain some theory of change in web product. So we know that web product can support small or large behavior change. And these changes can be explained by using Fogg's theory. It basically says that human beings are lazy, and lazy means they follow a structural path or a path dependent behavior, which usually leads to the path of least resistance. And the second theory is a Taylor's theory that human behavior can be modified by nudging in a web product system. Human beings are susceptible to small nudging, which allows them to change the behavior at the margin. So as we just said that human beings are lazy, and it means usually following a structural path or the user funnel in in case of domain of web product. And structural path is usually the path of least resistance. Now let's take an example. Let's say you get an email that asks you to register. You click the link, then you go to profile. Then you go to home page, and then from there you click a link, and then you go to profile. And there you click a link as well, and from there you go to messages. This is a structure. This is a structural path. It is easier to follow the path than not to follow this path. Now, in terms of explaining the human behavior, let's take the example of recurring payment system. This is an example of the passive behavior where user sets up a recurring payment in the recurring payment system. When it does that, it automatically deducts the next month's payment from his credit card. Now we can ask, is this a behavior change? Well, there are a number of answers to it. The user might have planned all along for him to make the recurring payment for next month, or the user may never realize that the payment has been deducted for next month. And thirdly, user may have not intended a payment to be deducted for next month, but once he realizes that payment has been deducted, he may change his mind, thinking that, oh, it is too hard to revoke the payment, or he may actually like the service, or he may think that it is too onerous to revoke the payment. And lastly, the user may actually try to revoke the payment because the user is angry and he may leave a bad review and actually leave the website as well. So this is an example of a recurring payment system for passive behavior. So now let's explain different types of behavior change in web product. One is structural and on path. This is passive one, where behaviors, it actually means that for user there's a type of behavior it is difficult to avoid. For example, setting up a recurring payment system. where payment is directed automatically. Directive factor, a factor directly that causes the change in behavior. For example, let's say user get a promotion email and user clicks that email that takes him to a web page of the product. Marginal change. The user experiences small shift in behavior, like for example, clicking a link to buy a small product. An example of this behavior change is the user gets the email for latest design and the user goes clicks the link and purchases the latest design model. Outside change, the user experiences massive change in behavior shift. Massive shift in behavior change. For example, the person who never buys a product buys a product. Example of this is, let's say there's a social website and it demonizes a certain point of view, so much so that the user changes the view in the long run. This is outside change.